I'm Beau Johnson. Today is December 24th, 2025. Welcome to yes2hellwith.com. There are about 6 more days left to get the $1 report on jamesbowersjohnson.com that reveals ChatGPT's acceptance that the federal government operates the income tax laws by fraudulent presumption. Now, yesterday we discussed the four corners of justice diagram. Today, let's discuss a case that perfectly illustrates why this diagram exists. Arlon Jones lived in Virginia around 1940. He was not educated. He was not politically connected. He was not sophisticated. He was a husband and a father with 2 small children. His wife was a paraplegic. His family was hungry. And in a moment of desperation, he did what he probably would never have done under normal circumstances. He stole food. Specifically, Arlon Jones killed a single heifer owned by a wealthy neighboring rancher and took the meat to his family. This is the entire crime. No violence against a person, no ongoing scheme, no repeat conduct, no malicious intent. The question that the legal system asked was simple. Did Arlon Jones violate the statute on cattle rustling? Technically, the answer was yes. But that is the wrong question. The question justice demands is different. What was his intent? What was the harm? And what punishment is proportionate? The system never asked these questions. Arlon Jones went to trial. He did not plead. He was found guilty, and the sentence imposed was life in prison. Not restitution, not probation, not a short-term confinement. Life. Arlon Jones never walked free again. Now let's stop there for a moment. This is where most people say, well, the law is the law. That response is exactly why injustice survives. Because justice is not produced by statutes alone. It is produced or destroyed by enforcement, by people. That is why we use the four corners of justice diagram. Let's walk through this case the way the system should have. At the center of the diagram is the 0 line, neutrality, restraint, equity, and conscience. In a just system, no actor crosses left of that line. In this case, nearly all of the parties did. Start with the electorate. The people tolerated an old statute that allowed a judge to impose a life sentence for a property crime. There was no public outrage, no demand for mercy, no correction. The people tolerated an old statute that allowed a judge to impose a life sentence for a property crime. There was no public outrage, no demand for mercy, no correction. This is civic disengagement. The score, negative. Lawmakers. The lawmakers allowed the statute to remain in force without safeguards tied to intent or proportionality. That failure belongs to them. The score is also negative. The prosecutor knew the circumstances. He knew this was not a violent criminal. He knew the motive was survival. He prosecuted anyways. This is not justice. It is administrative obedience. The score, negative. Now we come to the center of the failure, the judge. The judge imposed a life sentence for stealing food, and that alone would be enough to condemn the decision. But there is more. The wealthy rancher whose heifer was taken was a close personal friend of the judge. They hunted together. And that relationship did not just influence sentencing. It allowed Arlon Jones to remain in prison for the rest of his life. Years later, when Jones became eligible for parole, the same rancher intervened again, and parole was denied. This was not a legal accident. It was power exerting itself over the powerless. The judge's conduct is not a minor deviation from justice. It is a collapse of it. That score plunges far left of the 0 line. The witness, the rancher himself, He did not seek restitution or proportional remedies. He sought ruin. He had the influence to ensure it. The jury and grand jury followed the law as presented. We shall score them as neutral but with suspicion, because neutrality in the face of injustice is not the same as innocence. When you step back and look at the diagram as a whole, something becomes unmistakable. Justice did not fail because of one bad actor. It failed because every layer of the system permitted it. The four corners of justice diagram reveals what the court transcripts do not. Arlon Jones was not sentenced to life in prison because he stole a heifer. He was sentenced because he was poor, because he lacked influence, because discretion was exercised without conscience, and because no one with authority chose to stop it. This is not an argument that theft should be excused. It is an argument that justice must account for intent, harm, and humanity. The system did not do that here, and that is why Arlon Jones died in prison. This case is not ancient history. It is present. It is with us every day. It is a warning. Because the same mechanisms, unchecked discretion, prosecutorial indifference, judicial power, and public disengagement, are still with us. The four corners of justice diagram exist so that when we see a case like this, we no longer ask, was the law followed? We ask the only question that matters, was justice done? And in the case of Arlon Jones, emphatically, the answer is no. And as always, may truth reign supreme.